next game comes from the Greek Team Championship in 2006, and playing white is the Grandmaster Ioannis Papanenou. I hope I pronounced that right. And playing black is Nikolaos Managadza, who's graded 2444 and therefore of strong international master standard. And, well, anyway, d4 was the first move, knight f6, and now the bishop comes out to g5. Okay, this is a Trompowsky to begin with. But after d5, which is one of black's most solid responses to the Trompowsky, it's interesting to see that Papanenou goes back into the Torre attack, just bringing his pieces out in the normal prescribed manner, setting up the pawn triangle in the centre, bringing his knight out to f3. Bishop comes to d3, and now we're going to see what happens when black castles. Black castles, white castles, black plays b6. And now earlier on in this DVD, I said that knight e5 was a decent move for white. Well, here white shows another approach, preferring to keep it more positional with queen to e2. And after bishop b7, the Greek Grandmaster played rook a d1. So he's basically being rather cagey here. Both the moves he has played are rather sensible, if non-committal, and they don't actually define what white's going to do in this position. It's almost as if white's giving black enough rope to hang himself. I mean, there's nothing wrong with what white has done. He just played very sensibly. He hasn't given up all ideas of knight e5 and f4. He just centralised his pieces and is awaiting events, more or less. So black plays queen c7, primarily, I think, to cut out white's idea of knight e5. And white plays bishop f4 in reply, reintroducing those ideas. There's a small bit of toing and froing here, where the Grandmaster is, in a way, toying with his opponent by playing bishop f4 and bishop g5. There's no way that he intends a repetition here, and so when bishop d6 was played for the second time, white decided to take on d6, and then go through with e4. So this is a different way to handle the white's position, more patient, but perfectly viable. Okay, d takes e4. Well, of course, white was threatening e5 there. A pair of minor pieces was exchanged, so there's a threat of mate on h7, and black plays g6. Now comes d takes c5, bringing the rook on d1 into the game, and after queen takes c5, queen f4, the game has become almost French defence-like. I mean, there are certain variations of the French defence where positions like this are reached, and it has to be said that the position is slightly better for white. White's got extra rook in play. He's got definite ideas of attacking black on the king side with ideas such as queen h6 and perhaps then knight g5. But the advantage is only small. White's going to have to play pretty well to make his advantage larger. King g7, stopping the queen from coming to h6. Bishop e4. Queen comes back to e7 as a protective measure more than anything else, and now white presses on with h4. Another typical idea in this type of position. White is thinking about adding his h-pawn to the attack. He can think about h5 and h takes g6, prizing open the black king. He can even think about, and this is more likely, the advance h5 and then h6 check, which is, well, a little bit awkward for black to deal with. So, Managadza played rook a d8. White pressed on with h5, and now black played f6, trying to make his king position as flexible as possible. Well, now h6 doesn't have an enormous impact on the position because white can't penetrate on the dark squares with his queen. So white decided to take on g6. Black recaptured, and now white played the probing move, queen g3, attacking g6. Black defended with g5, and now perhaps a slightly surprising move here, bishop takes c6. I think we can say this is a move which translates one advantage for another. Whereas white had perhaps slightly the better bishop before, what he intends now is to centralise his knight on d4 and to, after bishop d5, continue to pressurise black along the central files with rook fe1. And note there is already a threat of knight f5 check. So this is a clear-sighted way to increase white's advantage. White is still quite a bit better because black is defending against direct threats. And after queen f7, the Greek grandmaster played f4, further increasing his control of the position. Well, White's advantage is growing here. Black's queen is tied down to the defence of his king side, noticeably the e6 and f6 pawns. And that means really Black has got no time to play pinning moves such as queen to c7. Instead, Managadze played king g6, and after f takes g5, which looks like a very strong move to me, he went f5. But now, well, it's starting to look very bad for Black. The e5 square is creaking. There's the prospect of putting a knight on either e5 or h4, and the Black king is looking rather weakened. c4, a clever move, deflecting the bishop. Bishop e4, blocking the file. Obviously, if bishop takes c4 in this position, then knight c6 is White's excellent point, when the knight reaches e5 after all. So bishop e4 was played. Queen e5, attacking e6. Rook fe8, defending e6. And now another nice move by White, rook takes e4. Stripping away the defender of the king. And after f takes e4, not queen takes e4 check, which is quite strong, but the even stronger move here, rook f1. So that White is actually attacking with every single piece he's got in this position. In actual fact, the black rooks are ineffectual here. They're not actually helping the defensive cause at all. So it's no real surprise that after queen g7, rook f6 check, White was able to prosecute his attack very efficiently after king h7, queen takes e4 check, king h8, not king g8, in view of rook g6, but king h8, rook h6 check, doesn't matter, comes the same thing, king g8, and now rook g6. So another very instructive game, showing a different way to handle White's position, perhaps a slightly slower way, but once White got the thematic e4 in, he was certainly a bit better, and Papagiannou found an effective way to increase his advantage as the game went on. Very good game, I think, by the Greek grandmaster.